A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Stephen George and our sign language interpreter is Paul Madenge. And now, Raila Odinga has left the country this morning as a special envoy for peace to South Sudan, which is currently facing struggles and differences between the position led by Riek Machar and President Salva Kiir. Riek Machar's arrest has spurred reactions as international bodies like United Nations demanding for his release. Odinga's arrival is expected to breed hope, peace and unity. This is according to President William Ruto, who stated that Kenya as a country is determined to stabilize the continent.
I have sent the Honorable Raila Odinga, our former Prime Minister, to South Sudan because there is a situation that could lead to export of more refugees from that country unless it is contained. We are engaged currently on the situation in DRC. We have a robust conversation on containing the situation in Sudan. We are actively making sure that we do what we can to make sure that we have less and less refugees and asylum seekers by participating in interventions that help countries manage their affairs better.
The government has intensified its response to the Kala-azar outbreak in Wajir County by deploying mobile laboratories to help with early diagnosis and providing financial support through the National Treasury to assist local healthcare facilities. Additionally, the government is focusing on enhancing detection efforts and ensuring the outbreak doesn't spread to other regions, such as Rift Valley, which are also at risk.
The national government has stepped up its response to the Kala-azar disease ravaging the northeastern county of Wajir, as fresh data indicates the death toll from the disease has hit 25, with infections now rising to over 600, most affected being children.
For this Kala-azar outbreak, most of the patients are coming with low platelets. So if we could have had sufficient storage of platelets in our lab, in our satellite blood bank, we'll be able to save life.
Fresh data suggests that 106 people are receiving treatment at various facilities in Wajir County. Speaking Friday morning when she flagged off mobile laboratories to the northeastern county to help in early diagnosis, PS Mary Muthoni says the government through the National Treasury is releasing funds to aid combat the disease that has so far claimed over 20 lives since its fresh outbreak in September 2024.
Over the past 3 months, the disease has claimed lives of 25 individuals, with more than 600 people reported to be infected. The outbreak has spread across 4 sub-counties in Wajir and Marsabit counties. As of now, 106 patients have been hospitalized in Wajir County, overwhelming local health services, and health officials are facing challenges in managing the situation, which began in September and last year, prompting the county requesting for support from the national government.
The aid from the national government coming at a time the Wajir County government has acknowledged it is overwhelmed by the many cases being reported.
Viral hemorrhagic fevers, like even Mpox, the current Mpox, it can test yellow fever, Rift Valley fever, dengue, chikungunya, all of them we can test using this facility. Even as we go to the county, we have already carried reagents and consumable for testing all those other organisms.
The mobile laboratories will be instrumental in enhancing early detection, as most of the patients were being taken to health facilities where the situation was almost dire. PS Muthoni also says the government is keen to have the outbreak dealt with to arrest a spread to other regions that are prone, such as Rift Valley. Paris Kigo, GBS News, Nairobi County.
The National Assembly Speaker, Moses Wetangula, is pushing for a smooth and stress-free ID registration process for Bungoma residents. Speaking at his home in Bungoma County, where he hosted political leaders and local administrators, Wetangula urged chiefs and their assistants to do away with the tedious vetting procedures that have been there for years, frustrating many applicants. His remarks follow President William Ruto's recent directive in northeastern Kenya, which ordered the easing of restrictions in the ID application process, a move Wetangula says should benefit every Kenyan, not just those in the north. The Speaker of the National Assembly encouraged local administrators to actively mobilize eligible citizens, particularly the youth, to apply for the IDs without fear of unnecessary barriers. He emphasized that the President's directive marked an end to outdated colonial-era hurdles that have long delayed access to this vital document.
Unajua sisi ni county ya mpakani. Nimeona juzi gavana moja kutoka Trans Nzoia anapinga mambo ya lifting, vetting ya vipande. Na imefanyika kuonekana kama vetting ya kuchukua vipande ni ya Wasomali kuna Northern Kenya. Hapana, Bungoma, Busia, Trans Nzoia, Pokot, Turkana, all frontier counties were affected by vetting to get an ID. Na nyinyi machifu mnajua we have many people 60-year-olds hawana vipande, ama si kweli? Ukienda kuchukua kipande unaulizwa maswali mpaka unachoka unaondoka. Enda leta title deed ya babako, sijui kuka yako alikuwa nani, sijui nini. Maswali ya kijinga mpaka mtu anachoka anaenda. Sasa, although the president announced in Mandera kwamba there's no vetting, that order affects all of us. Hata hapa Bungoma, Busia, Trans Nzoia mpaka Turkana, no vetting for people to get IDs. Sasa wewe ni kwenda kujiandikisha na kupata kipande.
Kenyans will enjoy an extended weekend next week as the government has officially declared Monday, the 31st of March, as a public holiday to mark Eid, the important Muslim festival that signals the end of holy month of Ramadan. Speaking during an official event earlier today, the CS Murkomen confirmed that the government has gazetted Monday as a national holiday, giving Muslims and all Kenyans an opportunity to celebrate and reflect. Eid, also known as the festival of breaking the fast, is one of the most significant days in the Islamic calendar, characterized by prayer, charity, family gatherings, and festive meals. It is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and Eid holds deep significance as celebration of month dedicated to fasting, prayer, self-reflection, and charity. On the morning of Eid, Muslims around the world gather for a special congregational prayer. In Kenya, the day is marked by prayers and designated venues, followed by celebrations. Eid falls on the first 3 days of Shawwal, the 10th month of the Islamic calendar, and begins with the sightings of the new moon. Member of Parliament Robert Gishimu has delivered 3 new modern classrooms at Kiambui Comprehensive School, funded through the National Government Constituency Development Fund. These classrooms are designed to accommodate junior secondary school students who are most affected by congestion, thus improving the overall learning environment.
Teachers, parents and pupils of Kiambui Comprehensive School are now delighted after Area Member of Parliament Robert delivered 3 modern classrooms and rehabilitated other amenities. Through funding from the National Government Constituency Development Fund, the MP said the new classrooms will accommodate the junior secondary school students, easing congestion and making the learning environment more conducive.
Na hapa kuna madarasa kadhaa ambayo imejengwa kwa sababu ya hichi kitengo kinaitwa cha JSS ama Junior Secondary, na hapa Kiambui ndio kuna wanafunzi wale wengi kabisa. Hapa Gishugu kuna zaidi ya wanafunzi 700 kwa hii shule, na ndiposa walipewa kipaumbele ndio wanafunzi wasikue na matatizo ya masomo.
The MP also said in line in the following financial year is the renovation of the old classroom and addition of new ablution blocks.
Kuna mambo mingi ambayo inahitajika kufanyika hii shule, na yote itafanywa, hata renovation za zile classrooms zimebaki, ndio wanafunzi wote wakuwe wanasomea katika madarasa sawa na madarasa safi, na ndio waweze kunawiri katika masomo yao.
In addition, he assured the residents that all stalled roads approximately 100 kilometers in will resume until the projects are completed within current financial year.
Na nahakikishia watu wa Geshugu kwamba kabla ya mwisho wa mwezi wa 6, hii mwaka wa serikali ama financial year ya 2024-2025 ambayo inaisha June, contractor wa Geshugu wale wako ama makandarasi wale wamepewa mabarabara watakuwa wamerudi.
He attributed the slow works due to high pending bills experienced countrywide, adding that no new road will be started until they cleared all that have stalled.
Wale wanakandarasi ambao walikuwa wamepewa hiyo kazi walikuwa wameondoka kwa sababu kulikuwa na deni kubwa ile inaitwa pending bill, na sio hapa Geshugu peke yake, ni Kenya mzima, kwa sababu wako na mabarabara mengi. Kwa hivyo muda usio mrefu watu wa Geshugu zile barabara zilikuwa zimepitishwa, tutatoka kwa matope ndio niweze kufuatilia barabara zingine mpya, kwa sababu bado tuko na zingine ambazo zinahitaji kuwekwa kwa huo mpango, lakini hazijaweza kuwekwa kwa sababu tuliambiwa zile barabara ambazo zilikuwa zimepewa kandarasi ndizo kwanza zitamaliziwa.
Trizatiengo, GBS News.
President William Ruto has today revealed that Kenya is a home of at least 800,000 refugees, mostly from the East and Horn of Africa and the Great Lakes region. Speaking on Friday during the official launch of the Shirika Plan, the president underscored the need to find sustainable solutions for hosting refugees, despite the limited resources available within local communities. The Shirika Plan, which has now been rolled out, is designed to integrate refugees into host communities, creating more opportunities not just for the displaced people, but also for the locals who live alongside them. President Ruto emphasized that the plan aligns with the government's broader strategy to include refugees in county development programs, ensuring they have access to education, healthcare, and financial systems. The plan is anchored in the Refugee Act No. 10 of 2021, providing a legal framework to offer long-term dignified solutions to refugees. It seeks to bridge the gap between host communities and refugees by offering equal access to services, transportation, and basic amenities.
Kenya is a generous and hospitable society. As a tradition, we warmly welcome all visitors, understanding that they arrive in our land by different routes for different reasons. Solidarity with people fleeing their threats to life and freedom is a long-standing tradition that aligns with our society's obligation to receive all people with consideration and empathy. It is not a coincidence, therefore, that our nation hosts more than 800,000 forcibly displaced persons, mostly from East and the Horn of Africa and the Great Lakes region. Even as we observe with concern that global displacement of persons is approaching unprecedented levels, we also clearly appreciate that traditional humanitarian-only approaches are no longer sufficient. Crises have become more acute, protracted, complex, and dynamic. Resources, on the other hand, have declined, and the possibility of resettlement remains elusive. Under these challenging conditions, we must adopt a development-oriented model anchored in sustainability, inclusion, and resilience in order to continue to uphold the safety and dignity of displaced persons and to make them in some way to feel at home.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming in the social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
Hello everyone. I'm so much thankful to have this precious time to actually share with you the word of God. When I was growing up and when I was attending church, my former church, I was taught that, you know, although I'm saved, but as I, when I commit sin, I become a sinner. And then when I become a sinner, again, I repent my sin every day for it to be forgiven, so that I can be assured of salvation. But when I was living a life of trying to confess my sin each and every day, and believing that I'm a sinner, actually I could not have an assurance of my salvation in my heart. So I thought, and I was taught that my sin is, the deeds which I do outwardly. Until the time I came to realize, for sure, I'm a person who cannot really do good. The problem is not the deeds which I'm doing outwardly. The problem is the core. The core of my heart itself is evil. Jesus, what he did, he lived among us. And then he died on the cross because of our sin. And then he rose again. The reason why now he did not just resurrect and go to heaven, it is because of, to meet the disciple and to witness that, sin and death could not have any power in his life. He wanted to manifest that eternal life.
Anza wiki yako kwa njia sahihi kwa GBS Jumatatu.
Niko nawe hadi mida ya saa 4 asubuhi. Kwanza niseme asante kwa kuzidi kufuatilia na kutazama vipindi vyetu ambavyo huwa tunakuandalia hapa ndani ya GBS TV Jumatatu. People are now seeing the money that have been given to church as a bribe.
Jiunge nasi kila Jumatatu asubuhi kuanzia saa 1:30.
Nimesikia mwenzangu akifanya hesabu hapo ya vile ambavyo miungano zitakuwa. Ruto is going to fail whether with Raila or without Raila.
Kuna mahali anakosea akisema ati Raila na Ruto wataungana. Hakuna kuungana iko hapo, ndugu yangu, aje nikwambie ukweli.
Hadithi za kunoga.
Ukiangalia Wakenya, wananchi wa Kenya, pia hao maisha yao imedhulumiwa kwa kuongezwa kwa taxes, ziko very high taxes. So the statement by the Rigathi Gachagua is just statement ya kumcheck that we can see you we can see between the lines.
Na mazungumzo yenye nguvu ya kukuletea utulivu kwa wiki yako.
Ati Raila ataingia UDA.
Hiyo ni ndoto nasema hivi mheshimiwa, ikiwa Raila
itakuwa, mimi naona itakuwa
hadi saa 4 za asubuhi kwa majadiliano ya kusisimua.
Mheshimiwa Rais William Samoei Ruto ajue ya kwamba sasa yeye ni president wa Kenya. Sio mambo ya kufanyia wana Kenya mzaha, kupoteza biashara kwa siku moja katika CPD. Nafikiria ni jambo ambalo ni rais.
Usikose, ingia kwenye GPS TV. Anza Jumatatu yako kwa kusudi.
If the government does not spend, my brother, hakuna maendeleo inaonekana, hakuna barabara zinatengenezwa, hakuna dawa kwa hospitali, my friend, economies will not grow.
Tuonane panapo majaliwa yake Mwenyezi Mungu.
GPS Jumatatu, palipo mjadala wa leo na mwelekeo wa kesho.
How to avoid food poisoning. Tips to prevent foodborne illness. You'll need sealable containers, a cutting board, antibacterial soap, lemon juice or vinegar. Step 1. Check the dates of the food products before buying and before cooking. Step 2. Store food in the recommended temperatures to keep them fresh. Step 3. Discard any food that smells or looks questionable. Step 4. Separate meat and vegetables at storage. Step 5. Use plastic chopping boards and not wooden ones. Bacteria can get trapped in wooden boards. Step 6. Wash your hands thoroughly with antibacterial soap before handling food or after handling meat. Step 7. Refrigerate leftovers within 2 hours of cooking.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back now. Two men, Ezekiel Tanui and Derek Kirui, have been sentenced to 30 years in prison each, repeatedly defiling a 16-year-old boy and infecting him with HIV. The incident occurred between October 20th and November 17th of 2023 in Baraka Village, Kericho. The victim, who had dropped out of school, was lured by Tanui, who offered him shelter after the boy lacked bus fare to return home. But both men sodomized the minor throughout the night, and the assaults continued for a month until the suspects were arrested on the 17th of November 2023 following a tip-off. The court found the evidence provided by the complainant reliable, consistent, and corroborated by other witnesses, leading to the conviction under the Sexual Offense Act. Magistrate Frederick Nyakundi stated that the prosecution had proven the case beyond a reasonable doubt, resulting in the 30-year sentence without the option of a fine. The accused were granted 14 days to appeal the judgment.
Mtoto alikuja kwako umsaidie fare ya kurudi nyumbani. Ukatumia hiyo chansi, ukamnajisi kwa mwezi mzima. Wewe au kuonea huyo kijana huruma hata kidogo. Ulimnajisi kwa mwezi mzima. Na ukimaliza kumnajisi, ukamtuma kwa rafiki yako pia ambaye pia alimnajisi. Haukumuonea huruma hata kidogo. Hii koti pia haitakuonea huruma hata kidogo. Kwa hivyo nimekufunga miaka 30 bila fine. Uko na haki ya kukata rufaa siku 13, 14 na umefungwa kulingana na sheria.
Ugunja CDF Chairman Bernard Omolo has assured that the appointment of former legislature Opiyo Wandayi as CS has not affected the operations of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, with the committee continuing its work and disbursing bursaries to students in the constituency.
The appointment of former Ugunja legislator Opiyo Wandayi as the cabinet secretary has not impacted the operations of the National Government Constituency Development Fund in Ugunja. Speaking at the CDF office in Ugunja Town, Siaya County, while leading the committee officials in disbursing bursaries, Bernard Omolo, the Ugunja CDF chairman, said the committee has continued its work normally, including hosting a visit from the NGCDF board to assess whether the MP's absence affected the operations.
From the time our Member of Parliament was appointed as CS, we have received visitors from the National Government Constituency Board in Nairobi, the topmost organ. They were coming to do an assessment and see whether the absence of the MP is affecting the operations. The absence of the MP does not and has not affected the operations.
He further stated that public participation exercise has been conducted successfully, where residents of Sigomere, Sidindi and Ugunja wards proposed and prioritized projects.
It is this year when we carried out a public participation, which was a requirement for submission of the proposals to the board. I can attest to you that amongst the proposals submitted to the board from the 290 constituencies, Ugunja is one of the constituencies that their proposal has been approved. That is an indicator that the movement of the MP to the CS has not affected the operations.
Additionally, The Ugunja CDF committee disbursed a total of 27 million in bursaries to 3,512 students, supporting both secondary and special needs school students. The bursary amounts were increased by 1,000 shillings for each beneficiary, with day school students receiving 6,000 and boarding school students receiving 9,000. Trizatengo, GBS News.
Farouk Kibet ignited a wave of support for Kakamega's widows. Speaking at fundraiser for the Shuguru Mugai Widows Group, he called for community and leadership action, stressing that empowering women fuels entire communities. Kibet pledged a school bus dormitory funding and bus repair funds alongside PSB3's push for regional unity and TVET empowerment. The event became a rally cry for compassionate leadership, honoring the late Member of Parliament Malulu Injendi's legacy. MCA Peter Wanami echoed the sentiment, emphasizing that aiding widows strengthens the family unit very foundation. Kibet's promises of grassroots economic support, coupled with Inyagala's vision for skill-based education, painted a picture of region poised for tangible development, all while placing the often overlooked needs of widows squarely in the spotlight.
Mama uko chini, kuna mama ambaye hawezi kufikiwa, naye ni mama mjane. Na uende waambia president wetu wa Kenya, Dr. Sama.
Na mimi nimewaambia sehemu ya Malava, mambo ya stima, mambo ya hii maji, nimeona pipes hapa, iweze kuwekwa katika markets, mahali ambapo wamama wanapata mambo ya maji kwa njia ya urahisi sana. Kwanza niseme ya kwamba tumeanzia shule ya wasichana, na nimeona hiyo shule iko na idadi kubwa ya watoto, na asubuhi hii tumeenda pale, tumeweza kupeana 1,500 ili iweze kusaidia watoto pale. Tumekuja pia shule ya upili ya vijana wetu ya Samitsi, ni shule ya zamani, ilianza 1969, na tungependa kusema ya kwamba pia tumepatia wao warekebishe bus ambaye ilipata ajali, na tumewapatia pesa tena shilingi 1,500. Sisi tunafanya hivyo kwa sababu tunatambua kwamba watoto wakisoma sehemu inaelemika.
The National Council of Churches of Kenya on Friday issued a scathing critique of the Taifa Care System, formerly known as Social Health Insurance Fund, citing widespread pain and suffering due to its failure to cover subscribers' medical expenses. The NCCK accused the system of effectively privatizing healthcare, sacrificing the well-being of Kenyan citizens for the financial gain of select few. They highlighted the Auditor General's report, which revealed a lack of government control over the Taifa Care system as a blatant abdication of the state's constitutional responsibility to ensure the highest attainable standard of health for all Kenyans, as enshrined in the Article 43, Section 1 of the Constitution. In light of these failures, the NCCK demand immediate and substantial reforms to Taifa Care model, urging the government to match or exceed the benefits previously provided by the defunct National Health Insurance Fund. However, recognizing the potential for continued systematic issues, the Council went further, calling for outright scrapping of Taifa Care. They advocated a temporary return of the previous system until the truly people-centered healthcare system can be established. Here's more on the story. Short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
Today we are going to be learning a very interesting song called Skinamarinky Dinky Ding, Skinamarinky Doo. I love you. First, I will teach you slowly, then follow me. Skinamarinky Dinky Ding, Skinamarinky Doo. I love you. Let's do one more. Skinamarinky Dinky Ding, Skinamarinky Doo. I love you. And Skinamarinky Dinky Ding, Skinamarinky Doo. I love you.
Everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back now in Business Front. From the business desk, Bolt, Kenya's leading ride-hailing platform, has introduced a 16% value-added tax on driver commissions in the compliance with the VAT, that is Electronic Internet and Digital Marketplace Supply, regulations of 2023. After absorbing the task for 15 months, Bolt now shifts the obligation to drivers following consultations with the Kenya Revenue Authority and the National Transport and Safety Authority. Here's more on the story.
Kenya's leading ride-hailing platform Bolt has introduced value-added tax on driver commissions, aligning with the VAT regulations of 2023. Effective immediately, Bolt's commission will now attract VAT at a rate of 16%, a move aimed at ensuring compliance with tax laws governing digital service providers.
So since 2023 November, the government through KRA, of course, introduced the VAT, which should be paid by the drivers. But for the last 15 months, Bolt decided to absorb the VAT charges on behalf of our drivers to ensure that at least our driver community is safeguarded for their earnings. And it's not only Bolt. Already hailing platforms have been charging the same VAT since 2023. So for the last 15 months, we've been taking the hit. But now, after ensuring that our drivers are in better position, we believe it's now time to start paying for the VAT. Effective today, we'll be passing on the VAT charges to the drivers as per the regulation by NTSA and KRA.
For the past 15 months, Bolt had been absorbing the VAT obligation on behalf of its drivers to cushion them from the immediate financial strain while awaiting regulatory clarity. Now, following consultations with the Kenya Revenue Authority and the National Transport and Safety Authority, the company has opted to implement the VAT charge, shifting the obligation to its drivers. In other business updates, the construction of a leather tannery in Kinanie, Machakos County is set to transform the economic fortunes of pastoral communities by providing a ready market for hides and skins. The project, which is more than halfway complete, aligns with the Kenya's industrialization strategy and aims to boost value addition in the leather sector.
Then we went to the Kenani Leather Factory. As you are aware, leather is one of the new frontiers that, as a government, informed by guidance from His Excellency the President, we are pursuing as a means of diversifying our revenue streams. Hitherto, we have been having a case that you can term as exploitation of some of those involved in the livestock sector, more so with respect to hides and skins. We have middlemen purchasing this at throwaway prices. So we want to enhance our local processing capacity of leather products, and that is why the Kenani Leather Factory project came into being.
Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Now to international news. The United Nations has urged for the release of Riek Machar, South Sudanese first vice president, who is currently under house arrest. Machar and his wife, who is the country's interior minister, Angelina Teng, was served with the arrest charges on Tuesday. His arrest has attracted the attention of international bodies demanding for his immediate release, as this could further turn things from bad to worse. Here's more on the story.
The arrest of Riek Machar, the first vice president of South Sudan, derailed South Sudan's fragile peace. This is according to the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, as tension keeps escalating, especially in the Upper Nile states between the government forces and the White Army, a militia group linked to Machar.
I have said it time and again
that our country will not go back to war.
This week, the violence got closer to Juba after a ground attack which targeted an opposition army base and training center. The situation has been further complicated by the presence of the Ugandan troops to support the government, which Riek Machar states that is directly against the 2018 peace agreement, which specifically prohibits the presence of foreign troops on South Sudan soil.
The agreement we have just signed today must mark the end of conflict and war in our country. We should concentrate on timely implementation of the agreement.
International reactions have been swiftly made as the U.S. calls for the release of Riek Machar, and the Kenyan President William Ruto says that he has already spoken to Salva Kiir and will be sending a special envoy to South Sudan, led by Raila Odinga, to de-escalate the tensions. The situation is at a critical juncture at the moment, and the coming days will determine whether South Sudan will remain peaceful or will collapse into yet another war. Davis Karani, GBS Ambassador, Nairobi.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is facing its worst hunger crisis ever, with nearly 28 million people facing severe food insecurity. Escalating violence, displacement, and rising food prices have pushed millions to the brink, while emergency aid has only reached a small fraction of those in need. Meanwhile, in Sudan's Darfur region, grave violations against children have surged, with North Darfur alone reporting 110 verified violations and an 83% increase in child casualties compared to early 2024. Both regions are struggling with devastating impacts on vulnerable populations.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is facing its worst hunger crisis, with 27.7 million people struggling to find enough food. Violence and instability, especially in the eastern parts of the country, have forced many people to flee their homes, causing trade to stop and banks to close. Food prices have increased by 40% since December 2024, making essentials like maize flour and cooking oil unaffordable.
The data shows that 27.7 million people in the DRC are facing acute food insecurity. This is an unprecedented level. This is the highest level on record that we've seen in the country. Since December, we've seen these accelerated displacement in the east of DRC. We've seen a disruption to trade and markets. Banks in the east of DRC have been closed. That's causing a liquidity crisis that's having an impact on commodity prices. It's having an impact on people's ability to survive and to implement their livelihoods. The insecurity is also affecting farming in the east of the DRC. So the situation is bad now. It could possibly get worse.
Around 3.9 million people, including displaced families, are now at emergency levels of hunger. Despite its vast natural resources, the DRC's limited farming, poor roads, and lack of infrastructure have worsened the crisis. The World Food Programme has only been able to assist 600,000 people in 2025, far fewer than the 1.8 million they helped in December 2024.
2.5 million people have been pushed into acute food insecurity, and the needs are growing. The humanitarian situation in the DRC is deteriorating at an alarming rate. Families who were already struggling to feed themselves are now facing an even harsher reality. We have been able to resume operations in North and South Kivu, but we urgently need more resources and more funding.
Meanwhile, the situation in Sudan's Darfur region is worsening, with over 70 children killed or injured in North Darfur in less than 3 months. Intense shelling and airstrikes in the Zamzam camp for internally displaced people have led to 16% of all child casualties in Al-Fasher since early 2025. Around 825,000 children are trapped in the conflict, facing daily threats from violence and the collapse of essential services. More than 6,000 people have been displaced since April 2024, with 300 of them being children. Access to these areas is nearly impossible, and people are facing shortages of food, water, and medicine, with over 457 children in North Darfur acutely malnourished, with 146,000 suffering from severe acute malnutrition. Aid efforts have been severely hindered, and supplies in areas like Zamzam are running out, putting 500,000 children at immediate risks. Both crises highlight the urgent need for international aid and intervention to prevent further suffering and loss of life. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
Still on international news, a tragic incident occurred off the coast of Hurghada, Egypt on the 28th of March when a Refugee submarine sank, resulting in the death of 6 Russians and the rescue of 39 foreign tourists. The submarine, Sinbad, had 50 people on board, including tourists from Russia, India, Norway, and Sweden, along with 5 Egyptian crew members. Most passengers were rescued, with no one remaining missing.
On March 28, a viewing submarine named Sinbad sank off the coast of the Hurghada, Egypt, resulting in the deaths of 6 Russian and the rescue of 39 foreign tourists. The submarine, carrying 50 people from Russia, India, Norway, and Sweden, along with 5 Egyptian crew members, was equipped with large portholes for sightseeing at a depth of 25 meters. Most passengers were rescued and taken to hotels and hospital in Hurghada, with no passengers or crew members still missing. Egyptian authorities are investigating the cause of the incidents, with the crew and the submarine owner, who are both licensed, being questioned. This sinking is part of a series of recent maritime accidents in the Red Sea, a region crucial to Egyptian tourism industry. Earlier incidents, including boat capsize accidents in June and November, have also been linked to high waves. Despite challenges, Egypt's tourism continued to thrive, attracting visitors to sites like pyramids of Giza and Nile cruises. Paris Kigo, GBS News.
Tensions between Algeria and France have escalated after French-Algerian writer Sansal was sentenced to 5 years in prison for allegedly undermining Algeria's territorial integrity. This verdict comes amid a broader diplomatic crisis fueled by France's support for Morocco's plan for Western Sahara.
French-Algerian writer Boulem Sansal was sentenced to 5 years in prison for undermining Algeria's territorial integrity after allegedly supporting Morocco's claim that Algeria's land was taken during French colonization. The Dar al-Baida court near Algiers also fined him nearly $4,000. His arrest worsened already strained relations between Algeria and France, especially after French President Macron backed Morocco's autonomy plan for Western Sahara. The diplomatic tensions have escalated since Macron's support for Morocco's stance on Western Sahara, which angered Algeria. In response, Algeria recalled its ambassador from France, further deepening the rift. Relations between the two countries, already complicated by the legacies of Algeria's independence war against France, have worsened under the leadership of Macron and President Abdelmadjid Tebboune. Despite their historical cooperation on security, trade, and migration, the two nations are now embroiled in a bitter dispute, with Macron accusing Algeria's government of using hatred of France as a political tool. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
Tensions are rising in global trade as Brazil's President Luiz Lula da Silva criticizes U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to impose a 25% tariff on imported vehicles. While Trump claims the move will boost American manufacturing, Lula questions its benefits, especially for U.S. allies like Japan and Mexico, who are major car suppliers. Now to our next story. Britain's King Charles experienced a temporary setback in his cancer treatment, leading to a brief hospital visit on Thursday. Buckingham Palace assures the public that his recovery remains on track, describing the incident as a minor bump in the road. The king has returned home and will reschedule his engagement as a precaution.
Britain's King Charles has been briefly admitted to the hospital on Thursday after experiencing side effects from his cancer treatment, according to Buckingham Palace. The palace did not provide specific details about the side effects, but royal source described the setback as a minor bump in the road. The source added that the king's recovery was progressing positively and that he was in good spirits. The palace confirmed that he had returned to his residence at Clarence House and that his scheduled engagements for Friday will be postponed as precaution. The 76-year-old monarch has been undergoing treatment since being diagnosed with an unspecified form of cancer in February last year. Vivian Wanjala, GBS News.
It's time for your most favorite segment of the show, the sports news. Let's get sporty. The Kenya Under-17 Women National Team, the Junior Starlets, are back in camp at Kasarani ahead of their crucial World Cup qualifiers against Cameroon. After a dominant 5-0 aggregate win over Uganda, they will host the first leg on April 4th. The team is also set for a friendly against Morocco.
Kenya's Under-17 women's national team, the Junior Starlets, reported back to camp in Kasarani to begin preparations for their third-round match against Cameroon in the 2025 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifiers. The team will host the first leg on April 4th before traveling to Cameroon for the return leg fixture on April 25th. They are also scheduled to play a friendly match against Morocco to fine-tune their preparations. The Junior Starlets earned their place in the round after a dominant 5-0 aggregate victory over Uganda, including a 3-0 win in Nairobi. Sports Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya, along with Principal Secretary Elijah Mwangi and officials from the Football Kenya Federation, visited the team to offer their full support. Mvurya praised the team's discipline and assured them that the government will provide the necessary resources to help them succeed in the qualifiers.
And therefore, I want to say that on behalf of the government of Kenya, we are fully behind the Starlets. We are also inspired and motivated because these are a team which is playing very well. They are disciplined, they are skillful. We came here this evening because this team of Starlets, Under-17, have been doing very well. You know, in the last matches that they played very impressively, and we took this evening to come here to talk to them, to inspire them, and to assure them, you know, that the government of Kenya will continue to support them as even they go for friendlies and they prepare for a match with Cameroon.
Kenya will now face Cameroon for a spot in the World Cup, which will be hosted in Morocco later this year. Elvin Muyodi, GBS Sports.
FC Leopards and Gor Mahia are set for the 96th league meeting this Sunday at Nyayo National Stadium, with both teams urging their passionate fans to prioritize peace. Coaches Boniface Ambani and Sinisa Mihik, along with captains Clifton Miheso and Philemon Otieno, call for a calm and enjoyable atmosphere, emphasizing that football is about unity and not violence. The high-stakes derby comes after a warning from CHAN 2024 organizers, who stated that fan violence could result in both teams being banned from Nyayo Stadium.
Ahead of the 96th Mashemeji derby between FC Leopards and Gor Mahia on Sunday, both coaches and captains urge fans to maintain peace, emphasizing that football should not lead to violence.
To understand these games, emotions really run high, and the games are very intense. It's a derby between Gor Mahia and FC Leopard, and kuna hiyo rivalry between us. So, but you know, football is a beautiful game. We're supposed to come and enjoy the game, not to come and fight. We're supposed to spread love, to spread peace and unity. So I would like to urge the fans to come in large numbers, but we enjoy the game respectfully, and we must respect each other during the game, also in the stands, so that at least we portray the beautiful game as a very good game for families and everyone.
Cheza dabi mwenyewe
si ati sijaicheza, nimecheza dabi, na hizo siku zote nimecheza dabi sijaifungwa na Gor Mahia. So kama sijaifungwa pia sifungwe kama coach. Nimesema hivyo. Na wachezaji kwa wachezaji, it's all about it's mind, it's mental. Ni vitu ndogo tu unaweza ongelea wachezaji, then wajikuwa it's a big game kwa mafans, but kwa wachezaji it should be just a normal game. Kwa sababu the moment una hype sana, then unaingiza pressure kwa wachezaji, na kwa tena hiyo pressure inakuja affects the game. Hiyo ndio nimwambia.
I want to urge all the fans, be it the FC Leopards or Gor Mahia fans, to just maintain peace, because football brings us together. So my urge to them is to just maintain peace during, before and after the game. They should maintain peace.
With the derby on consecutive weekends, both teams are used to pressure. However, fan violence could lead to a ban from Nyayo Stadium, as warned by chairman of the CHAN 2024 local organizing committee, Nicholas Musonye. Elvin Muyodi, GBS Sports.
Well, we have come to the end of the news bulletin. It is always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again, same time, same channel. We make your news our business. My name is Stephen George, and our sign language interpreter tonight has been Paul Madenge. Good night.
Everywhere, GBS.